Welcome to the Clique podcast. I'm Dani, a mindset and manifestation expert and founder of the Clique, a company that helps women overcome their fears and limiting beliefs to create a life and business that they love. Within this podcast, I will help you get clear on what you want, identify the blocks that are holding you back, transform your mindset and raise your vibration so that you can co-create magic with the universe. If you are looking to design a life that truly sets your soul on fire and manifest more success and abundance, then you are in the right place. Hello, ladies. So before we get started on this episode, I'd just like to remind you that if you haven't done so yet, you can sign up to our free Become a Coach course. So basically this course is designed to teach you how to get started on your own coaching journey. So we dive into how to actually coach your clients, how to actually start growing a coaching business online and attracting paid for clients, how to start transforming your own mindset so you can show up as the best version of you that you can be for your clients. We really go into a lot of depth. So if you are planning or thinking about becoming a coach and thinking that this might be the path for you, then you can go ahead and sign up at the course. If you go to wearetheclique.com/free course. So that's wearetheclique.com/free course, and you can sign up for free. Now, let's get started in today's episode, because this is actually a topic that comes up quite a lot for aspiring coaches or those women who are at the very beginning of their coaching journey, and they start looking around at everybody else that is already a coach, already a business owner, already achieving certain things in their life, and they think, is this going to be possible for me? So I really want to dive into the comparison trap today, because I can tell you for free, the comparison trap, comparing your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 100, comparing your life to somebody else's highlight reel, it's only ever going to keep you stuck. It's going to make you feel crappy about yourself, and it's going to often hold you back from really reaching your fullest potential. Because when we are looking at other people and saying, look at all what they've got, look at what all they've achieved, look at what, the success they're having, the confidence they have, the lifestyles that they're living. And then we look at your own life, you look at your own life and you think, mine doesn't add up. What kind of frame of mind is that putting you in? It's putting you in this mindset of lack. You're looking at yourself, comparing yourself to others, and you're doing so from this place of lack. I don't have enough. I am not good enough. I am not confident enough. I'm not there yet. And remember, when it comes to the law of attraction, lack creates more lack. Okay? When you are focused on what you don't have, you're just going to see more of what you don't have appear in your life. You're going to keep yourself stuck in that place of I don't have enough. Okay? Now, comparison. Let's just kind of take a step back a second. Comparison, often when we are comparing ourselves to others, again, we do so from this place of lack. Okay, now comparison can be a good thing. And this is where you want to be mindful of, how does looking at other people and looking at other people's success make you feel as an individual? Because for some people, comparing yourself to others can actually be quite an empowering thing. You could look at somebody else and see their success and see what they've achieved and think, wow, look at that. Look how amazing it is. Like this life they're living, the business they've created, the impact that they're making. I want a piece of that. It might be something that fuels you. And there was definitely a certain element of that when I started my coaching business, where I was looking at other people and thinking, wow, look at all of these women, these female coaches doing work that they really love. A lot of these women were traveling the globe, taking their work with them. And there was a part of me that was so inspired by that. And, to a certain extent, that comparison served me, because I was looking at myself, stuck in a job, doing something that I didn't really love, feeling a bit lost, not really having that sense of purpose with my work. And comparing that, what I was experiencing, to what other women were experiencing. And I was thinking, well, hang on a second. Why am I settling? Why am I just going through the motions in something that I don't love? Just day in, day out, like feeling unfulfilled when there is so much more available to me. So that, in a certain way, that comparison game actually served me. But for a lot of women, as I said, it can be looking at what other people are creating and feeling like you don't add up, feeling like your life doesn't add up, you match up to theirs, your success, what you're able to achieve. Okay, so that's what I really want to tap into. How can we avoid this comparison trap when it actually is derailing you in some way? It's actually making you feel worse rather than it feeling better. Now, one phrase I like to use quite often with our students is this idea of staying in your own lane. Okay, so if you are in a position right now and comparing yourself to others is making you feel crap, like why would you purposefully and intentionally do something that you know makes you feel worse? Okay, as humans, one of the things that, we're looking to achieve by being alive is to feel good, right? One of the purposes, I believe, of being here and having this human experience is for the joy of it, is to feel good, is to feel great doing it. The reason why we want to do most things in our life is because we feel that by doing those things or by having certain things, we're going to feel better for it. But if you know and you're aware that comparing yourself to others normally makes you feel negative about yourself, why would you intentionally go and do it? And I was thinking about this. I was like, well, why would we intentionally do the things that make us feel bad? And I think the first thing is the fact that there perhaps isn't any intention behind it. Often when we compare ourselves, it's not like we've decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to sit down for 20 minutes on social media and start looking at other people's images and start feeling shit about myself because my life doesn't add up to theirs. Nobody intentionally sits down with that plan, right? So what's happening now? What's going on? Often these are things that we do. These are activities that we do without any intention. We're just going through the motions, we're just doing it, and we're just being a bit mindless about it. We're being a bit thoughtless of it. How many times do you wake up in your morning, or maybe just throughout your day, and you grab your phone, and the next thing you know, you are scrolling. You're scrolling, and you've ended up on probably somebody who you don't even know, let's face it. You've landed up on their Instagram stories, or you're looking at their images, and, it seems that they're living their best life while you're at home feeling miserable. Have you sat down and purposely said, I'm going to go through Instagram for half an hour and see if I can make myself feel miserable? No, you've not. It's just something that you've kind of fallen into, this like negative habit that you've acquired, that you just go through the motions and you do it without really real intention behind it. So that would be the first thing. Like if you're about to do any type of activity, rather than just it being something that becomes habitual, learn to put some intention behind it. Learn to start asking yourself, why am I doing this? And is this really serving me? Because, you could decide, I'm going to go and sit down on social media for half an hour. And the reason I am doing so is for this purpose. And it could be a purpose that really serves you. So maybe it's, let's say you are a business owner or you're a coach and you're thinking, I'm going to sit down for half an hour and, start building some connections on social media. And there's some real kind of positive intention behind that. Or you might decide that, comparison does make me feel good. So I'm going to sit down for 20 minutes and I'm going to look at other women that inspire me and see their success as a reason for why I could be successful too. So take a step back before you do anything. And this is a really good habit to get into with anything that you do. Be mindful about what you're giving your energy to in any given moment. And ask yourself, is what I'm focusing on right now really serving me? How is it making me feel? Is it focusing on things that I want to happen? Is it focusing on my life from a place of abundance or from a place of lack? Because you're going to start realizing that your energy is being distracted by things that aren't necessarily serving you. As soon as you start getting into that comparison trap and, looking at, they have all of this amazing things and I don't have any of that. Again, you're focusing on things from a place of lack and you are creating more lack. But if you're intentional about that, if you say to yourself, okay, I'm about to sit down now. You catch yourself in the moment and you realize, okay, I'm scrolling aimlessly. What am I doing here? What purpose is this serving? What is the intention behind it? How is this going to make me feel? And in that moment, you can take a step back and say, no, I choose not to do this because I know that doing this activity is actually going to make me feel worse about myself rather than better. Okay, so learn to have more intention behind the activities you do. Now, let's just say for whatever reason you have, been scrolling through Instagram. Maybe you've decided with intention that I need to spend some time because I want to have a little look at what other people are doing just to get some inspiration and, to be inspired by other women that have already started businesses. Let's say you've made that intention to do that. Another phrase I use quite frequently is do not compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 100. Okay, it's a very, very easy thing to do, especially in the online business space when you're just starting out. And let's say you're starting out with 0 followers, 0 platform, no content, no knowledge. You're starting from scratch basically. And you look at all of these other women that have been doing their businesses for years. And again, you are looking at what they've achieved from this place of lack. Oh, look how far ahead they are. Look what amazing successes they've achieved. Okay? You're comparing where you are now to where they are, forgetting that there would have been a point where they would have been exactly where you are now, with 0 followers, with 0 platform, with 0 knowledge. Okay, so it's so easy to kind of look at people that are way further ahead than you and think, oh my goodness, I'm not there. Of course you're not there. If you're only just starting, of course you're not there. Okay? The advantage that they have over you is time, right? Okay, it's time. And the fact that they would have been where you are right now and they have now got to where they are, again, use that as inspiration. Use that as inspiration. Another thing is to don't put people's lives on a pedestal. What I mean by that is, remember that social media, you are seeing somebody's highlight reel. A lot of the time, and there is definitely a place for getting vulnerable and being raw and being authentic on social media, but especially if people are using it for a business capacity, there is going to be an element of filtering, right? People are curating images. They're not going to show every tiny little behind the scenes of what's going on in their life. Bloggers do this. When we look at a blogger's Instagram, it often looks like they're living this amazingly glorious life where it's just travel and trying on new outfits and, everything just looks so picture perfect, right? Having had to do a number of sort of photo shoots for my business, I know actually how stressful it can be, especially the ones where I've tried to get, a family photo with myself, my dog, my kids. That is not an enjoyable experience. So having seen some of the behind the scenes stuff that goes on, it's not always as glamorous as what Instagram will make it out to be. Okay. And I know this as well, because sometimes I've had people say to me oh my goodness, I remember it was actually a few years ago. It was myself, my partner, it was before we had children, but we were hosting an event in LA. So I was doing this sort of women's retreat and it was based in LA. And honestly, the pictures would have made it seem like it was the most glorious few weeks ever. And don't get me wrong, it was an amazing experience. But it was pretty stressful at the same time because we tried to do this whole road trip beforehand where we tried to pack in way too much. We were driving down from San Francisco all the way down to LA. We tried to pack in way too much. I was exhausted. I'm not a very good traveler either in the car. I get quite car sick. And I also had the worst toothache ever. So on the scheme of things, on the face of things, it looked like I was just living my best life. But actually, it wasn't the most enjoyable experience in the world. And by the end of the retreat, I was absolutely exhausted. I wished I'd done the traveling at the end of the retreat because a lot of the traveling that I'd done leading up was a lot of planning and organizing for the event itself. And it was, it really, really burned me out. And obviously people don't see that. I'm not going onto Instagram stories to moan about my toothache. toothache or to moan about how car sick I was. I'm going on there because I wanted to promote the retreat and I wanted to, be positive, and I wanted to, show people this amazing trip that I was having, which it was. But there was obviously moments which, weren't always so amazing. And they're often the things that people don't talk about. The struggles, the things that the things that they're going through right now. It's so easy to paint this picture, this perfectly curated life, but that often isn't the full reality of what is actually going on. Okay, now, again, there's a reason for this, especially if you're a business owner. You don't want to be, a blogger makes their money because they're portraying this sort of aspiring life, this aspirational life. That's what people buy into. That's how brands want their products to be shown. Nobody wants to, look at a feed and it makes them, feel negative, because brands want you to see their product, and when you see that product, you're seeing it in a certain context, and it's this aspirational life. Remember, when you're buying products, you're buying into the story and the lifestyle behind that product. It's the same with a business as well. When people buy into the idea of, let's say, doing coaching, it's, again, buying into that lifestyle that coaching comes with. So there has to be this certain element of your, perhaps, a feed being aspirational, especially if it's for a business purpose. But I think my reminder to you, if you are just starting out, remember that doesn't paint the full story, okay? So it's fine if you're thinking, God, I don't have it all figured out, because chances are the people that are hugely successful haven't always got everything figured out either. My goodness, it's so... Obviously, a lot has changed for me since I started my journey, and the amazing things that I've been able to witness in my life have been incredible. And of course, I want to share about that, and I want to celebrate those wins, and I want to share about, the things that I've been able to achieve on social media, because I think it is really important for those starting out to see what is possible for them. But equally, that, again, it doesn't paint the full picture. There are days when, at the time of recording this, I've got a 2-year-old and a 16-week-year-old. And wow, that can be super challenging. Running a business whilst juggling 2 little ones, especially when we've been in a UK lockdown, it is pretty challenging. And so, I try to bring that into my content as much as I can as well, just to give people a bit more of a realistic image. But yeah, it is very easy to kind of just assume that everybody's got it figured out and everybody knows everything, and, life is perfect. And I promise you, that is very, very rarely the case, okay? So don't be afraid, especially if you're somebody that's just starting out, perhaps in a business. Don't be afraid to, to start making momentum, even if you don't have it all figured out yet, even if you don't all have it figured out, because I don't think there's ever going to be a moment in your life where everything will be perfect, where it's just nothing is going on behind the scenes and everything is just really, rainbows and unicorns. There's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be struggles that you're going through. Even when you're experiencing huge successes, there's still going to be stuff behind the scenes that you're struggling with. Okay, so you don't need to be perfect to start. Okay, you just start and you develop as you go. Now, coming back to what I was saying earlier at the beginning of this podcast about allowing what other people have achieved to fuel you, to inspire you. I firmly believe, if something has been done, if it's physically been done before, and you can see that, you can see it's happened before, it's happened for somebody else. So maybe it's a certain business success, somebody's been able to achieve a certain income milestone, somebody's been, got a book published. If something has physically been done before, I firmly believe that anybody can recreate that success, okay? If it's physically possible, it is achievable for anybody. And often we sometimes need that evidence, that, okay, it's been done before, I can see this, I can see it's happened, for us to have that belief that it is possible for us. So in that respect, the fact that people are achieving certain things, we can almost use that as evidence, as what we want to create for ourselves is possible. It's physically possible because there's other people out there doing it. Okay, there is not really an experiment, but Roger Ballantyne, I've probably completely got that name wrong, but basically he was the first man to run a mile in under a minute. Okay, and he ran the minute mile, or whatever it's called. And then all of a sudden, within a very short space of time, loads of other people were able to achieve the same accomplishment. So there'd been this huge period of time where nobody had ever been able to run a mile in under a minute. Or was it a 3-minute mile, actually? I probably should have got my facts straight before I shared this story. I think it maybe was a 3-minute mile. So anyway, Roger ran the 3-minute mile. Then all of a sudden, all of these other people came out of the woodwork and they were able to achieve the same thing as well. Why is that? It's because they had that physical evidence that this is possible. Somebody else has done it. And that then strengthened their belief that it was possible for them too. So you can take the same approach with the things that you're looking to achieve in life. See the success of others as, the evidence of what is also possible for you as well. Okay, if it's physically possible, there's no reason why you can't achieve something similar. Okay? But coming back to this idea of, allowing yourself to compare yourself to others in order to be inspired. Comparison, again, it can be something that serves you. But ultimately, and this is perhaps the most important reminder I want you to take away from this episode. Ultimately, the only person you should really be comparing yourself with is the person that you were yesterday. This is your path. This is your journey. And your progress through life, everybody's progress is at different paces. Everybody experiences different things. Everybody's path is different, right? So when you compare yourself to somebody else, you're forgetting that they're experiencing life in a completely different way. Their relationships are different. Their choices are different. Their desires are different. What fuels them is different. So if you're trying to kind of make your path similar to somebody else's, you are neglecting all of the amazing things about your path, the things on your path that are meant for you, the things that you're meant to experience. You have to just embrace your path for what it is, okay? Rather than looking at somebody else's path, embrace your path for what it is. The ups and the downs, because I promise you, it's those downs that are going to make you into the woman that you are meant to be, more than your wins, more than the successes ever will, okay? So you need to embrace the downs as well as the ups. But this, again, it's about really just trusting and embracing your unique journey, okay? And when it comes to comparison, the only person you should be comparing yourself with is the woman that you were yesterday. Rather than looking ahead or looking at people that are ahead of you and thinking how much further you've got to go, and again, coming from this place of lack, how about switching the narrative? How about instead looking at who you were yesterday, who you were a week before, who you were a month before, and seeing how far you've come since then? We're so good at thinking about where we want to go, and that's great. It can fuel us to a certain degree, but we cannot neglect where we've already been and how far we've already come. Often people look at things like to-do lists, right? How many of you listening to this have a to-do list? Things that you want to do, things that you need to get done. But how many of you have a done list? Have a, what I've achieved list that you add to consistently? My guess is way more of you will have a to-do list versus that I've already done this list. And that I've already done this list, that is really important. Because what you're doing is you're reminding yourself, look how far I've already come. Look how much progress I've already made. Look at what I've achieved in the past week, in the past month. How have I shifted in terms of my mindset? How many steps have I taken towards my dreams, even if they're just tiny little steps? Okay? Looking backwards, reminding yourself how far you've come, that's the comparison you want to be making. Not how much further do I have to go? Because when you look backwards, how far have I already come? You're looking at your life from a place of abundance. Look at what I've achieved. Look how many steps I've taken. Look how much I've grown. You're looking at your life through the frame, through the window of abundance, right? And remember, when you focus on things from this place of abundance, what do you get? More abundance, yeah? You get more of what you want. You keep yourself moving in that forward momentum rather than keeping yourself stuck. Okay, so that's a really, really important reminder. And if ever you do get distracted looking at somebody else and seeing their success and, thinking that you don't add up or you don't match up, that's a really good thing for you to bring your attention back to. Go back to your list. Look at what you've been able to achieve. Look at all the reasons why you can perhaps create that success too. Okay? Start looking at your life and who you are from a place of what you already have versus what you currently lack, what you don't yet have. So if you see somebody who's successful, rather than saying to yourself, I don't have that yet, start focusing on all of the reasons why you can have that and why it is possible for you. It might not be in your life yet, but again, it's focusing on your life through the lens of abundance versus lack. So I hope that makes sense. And I know that comparison is a really, really common thing. So if you are stuck in the comparison trap, don't beat yourself up about it. It's human nature. We all experience this, but it's how you manage it. That's what's important, okay? So let me know if you have any questions about this. Or again, if there's any other topics you'd like me to cover, you can reach out, Dani Watson Coaching. You can find me on Instagram. Come and say hello. But yeah, as always, it was a pleasure recording this episode for you today. Have a great week, and I will catch you on the next episode. If you are wanting to build your own successful online coaching business, make sure to check out Freedom, Abundance and Impact, our free 10-day business and mindset course for coaches and aspiring coaches. To access, simply head to wearetheclique.com and click free course in the menu.